Shafkeen, over to you.
We wish you a very pleasant afternoon. I, Shafkeen Khan, along with my co-anchor, Vanshika Awasthi, would like to formally invite you to the fifth day of this workshop on value addition, life skills, ethics, and human values, convened by our Head of Institute, Professor Dr. Kumkum Ray. We can improve our own and other people's quality of life by incorporating these elements into our lives, promoting a lifestyle that is more satisfying and fulfilling. Value addition is the process of making one's life better by learning and applying important life skills, moral principles, and human values. Decisive learning, decisive reasoning, correspondence, critical thinking, and decision making are only a couple of the abilities that make up fundamental abilities and assist people with effectively crossing the difficulties of day to day exercise. Individuals can upgrade their own and proficient life and make more prominent progress and satisfaction by fostering these gifts. In addition, ethics play a crucial role in determining moral decisions and actions, ensuring that the individuals act morally with honesty and empathy for the others. Respect, honesty, compassion, and justice are the foundations of a peaceful society because they encourage goodwill and social cohesion. Yesterday, our guest speaker, Dr. Krishna Dutt, spoke about emotional intelligence and how it helps people succeed in their lives. He shared his meaningful experiences to give insights about the necessity of maintaining emotional intelligence through self awareness, self regulation, internal motivation, and empathetic understanding. As always, we would appreciate your support and encouragement. I am honored to introduce a Professor Dr. Kumkum Ray, who is the founder director of this institute with 46 years of teaching experience. She is a tremendous educational social activist. It is our privilege to have her as our beacon of inspiration and a guiding light. Now, since ma'am's not here, so I would like to introduce our chief guest.
Equality is the soul of liberty. There is, in fact, no liberty without it. Gender equality and equity are essential for a just and inclusive society. It means ensuring that all individuals, regardless of their gender, have equal rights, opportunities, and access to resources. It goes beyond treating everyone the same and acknowledges the different needs and experiences of individuals based on their gender. Achieving gender equality requires addressing systematic discrimination, challenging stereotypes, and promoting equal representation in all areas of life. By striving for gender equality and equity, we can build a world where everyone can thrive and contribute their full potential regardless of their gender identity. With this, I would like to welcome Dr. Kajal Srivastava. She is a faculty member at Jaipuria Institute of Management, Lucknow, with over 14 years of experience in academia, training, and writing. Holding a PhD in English, she specializes in teaching pedagogy, business communication, and psychological interventions. Ma'am has published research papers in national and international journals and has designed courses on communication skills and psychology. As a resource faculty, she has conducted sessions for various organizations, including Uttar Pradesh Metro Rail Corporation and National Health Mission. Her George talk on improving spoken English has gained over 10,000 views on YouTube. Ma'am is also an author with her book Yakety Yak, available on Amazon and Flipkart. Recognized for her positive impact on students, she received awards for Best Faculty at the 11th Pan Jaipuria Meet 2023 in Sri Lanka. With her expertise in simplifying complex communication theories and her understanding of diverse cultures, she was honored with the ECIS Award for International Understanding, being the first Indian recipient. We recommend that you pay close attention during the session. At the end, all attendees will be requested to email responses to a few questions based on the talk. Only after submitting the assignments will you be eligible for the participation certificates. Now, I would like everyone to join me in extending a cordial welcome to Dr. Kajal Srivastava for an enlightening address.
Thank you so much, Vanshika and Shafkeen.
Thank
Shafkeen
you, ma'am.
specifically for telling me and updating me about what has happened in the workshop so far, which I believe is Dr. Krishna Dutt and his effective session on emotional intelligence and empathetic understanding. Vanshika, thank you for such a detailed introduction. And Amity University, Professor Kumkum Ray, ma'am, it's an honor and a pleasure always to be back at Amity. Thank you to Shraddha, who has been coordinating. And yeah, I really relish coming back to Amity once again. So this topic is basically gender equity and gender equality. Now, since this is a workshop, what I look forward to is active participation, questions, and I, at my end, will pretty much ensure that I do get the participation that I seek or have striven out for, right? So, what I'll be doing right now is I'll be sharing a PPT which I have, and we'll go along. I hope it is visible.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
It is? All right, great. So, now, gender equity and gender equality. Before I move on, there's a riddle that I would like to begin with. And before the riddle, I'll just give you a brief as to what you can expect out of this session. So, first and foremost, there would be an introduction, and I believe that a pretty good job has been done by Vanshika in terms of introducing the topic. This will be followed by a Mentimeter quiz. There's a section called Let's Reflect, and then there's an activity portion. So this is what I have chalked out for the 1 hour roughly, which we have together. So the riddle is as follows, and like I said, I'm looking forward to responses from all of you. The riddle is: a father and his son were traveling in a car when they were involved in a terrible accident. The father was not badly hurt, but the son was in critical condition. The father was sent to one hospital while the son was sent to another. When the son arrived, the surgeon looked down at him and said, "I can't operate on this boy. He is my son." So the question is, what is the relationship? I mean, why do you think the surgeon said, "I can't operate on this boy. He's my son"? What relationship do this boy and the surgeon share? I'm looking forward to responses. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Repeat your question.
The question is, what is the relationship between the surgeon and the son?
Ma'am,
Blood
maybe,
relation.
yes,
So
ma'am, maybe
let's
the
be a little
surgeon
more
is the
specific.
father.
Huh?
Ma'am, maybe the surgeon is the father of,
The surgeon is the father. Okay.
maybe,
Can
ma'am.
I have any other responses? One response is that the surgeon is the father. That is why he's saying that I can't operate the boy. Any other response to this?
Ma'am, since you mentioned that and a doctor can be both a man and a woman, so the doctor could be the boy's mother.
Okay. So the doctor could be the boy's mother. Could be is the word that you have used, right? Now, ideally, when this riddle is given, and this was a very famous advert, it's been placed. So a number of responses were jotted down. And apparently, when we have a look at the word surgeon, the first impression that comes to our mind is a male, and which is the very first response that I got. So we already have got images chalked out in our mind that, okay, if it's a surgeon, the first thing would be a male. Those of you who are present, I don't know how many of you paid heed to the fact that the father was not badly hurt. but the father was taken to a different hospital, the son to a different hospital, and immediately when the surgeon looked down and said that I can't operate on this boy, he's my son, the audience that was sought in terms of responses, again, it was a big riddle for them. And ideally, the simple answer to this is the surgeon obviously cannot operate on the son because the surgeon happens to be none other than the mother of the boy who has been brought to hospital, right? So based upon this, what I'll be doing right now is there's a Mentimeter quiz that I would want you to take. How many of you have gone in for Mentimeter quizzes before? Okay, I see Ayushi Garg raising a hand. Anybody else? Okay, so those of you who are not acquainted with a Mentimeter quiz, I see 28 participants online. Ideally, this is based on the lines of KBC, Kaun Banega Karodpati types, right? So fastest finger first. Based upon this riddle and based upon the topic which we will be discussing about at length, there are a number of questions which I have put out. And what you are supposed to do as an audience is log in to your cell phone. First and foremost, I request all of you to go to the site which is termed as www.menti.com, right? And beyond that, what you'll be doing is there's a quiz. So I hope my screen is visible. You'll have to go to www.menti.com. It's written right at the top of the screen. The spelling is menti.com, and you're supposed to use the code which is given out there. Log in with your names, please. So it's 6665368. The code is given right at the top of the screen as well. And I'm hoping that the screen is visible. Okay, great. I've got the first player. I would appreciate if you log in with your names, please. So www.menti.com. The code is 6665368. Great. 3 participants. I saw 28. I'm hoping for higher numbers out here. Okay. Six, that's good. I'm getting motivated. I expect to see more, please. All right. 8 players so far. See, this is the biggest drawback of going in virtually, right? I'm dependent on you. Had I been there in person, I would have ensured that all the 28 would have joined, right? So a humble request, join in as fast as you can, please. I repeat again, www.menti.com. You log in, the code is 6665368. All right, so I'll go ahead with the 7 players that I have. Now, here's the rule to the game. I just said that it's based on the lines of Kaun Banega Karodpati, which is there's a question which is going to be reflected on your screen, and the answer to that question should be given by you in just 15 seconds. That is 15 seconds for each question. Beyond the answer to each question, what's happening is there's going to be a leaderboard which is going to be displayed. On the leaderboard, we'll see the names of the people who have given the correct answer. I repeat, the names of the people who have given the correct answer. And based upon that, you're going to be judged in terms of timing, right? So with 9 players, I'm pressing enter. If there's any confusion, please feel free to ask. So it's a simple funda. A question is going to be displayed for 15 seconds. You're supposed to give in your responses based on the same. And on the basis of the timing and the correctness of your answer, a leaderboard will show us exactly who has stopped, right? So I'm starting right now. Here goes. Gender is a dash concept while sex is dash. So It's a biological, social, social, biological, biological, physiological, physiological, biological. And time's ticking away. Great. So everyone has voted. Let's have a look at the results. So out of the 9 people who are present, everyone has voted. I have got 4 incorrect responses and 5 correct responses. So yes, gender is a social concept. It's a social construct, while sex happens to be biological in nature. Moving ahead to the leaderboard. So we have these scores out in front of us. Wonderful. So we have Shafkeen, who has voted the fastest, followed by Vanshika. Moving ahead to the next question. And the question is, mothers are considered as primary caregivers while fathers are supposed to provide for the family. This is an example of gender consistency, gender identity, gender stereotype, gender parity. What is this an example of? Great. So I've got 8 people who have given the correct answer. It's a very well-informed 9 audience that I have out there, right? So this would be the fastest since 8 people gave the correct response. All right. So for this question, although Anamika has been the fastest, Shafkeen still tops the charts. And yes, I mean, it is a concept that we have in our mind. It is a stereotype that mothers should take care of the home while fathers are supposed to be breadwinners, right? The third question. How should one challenge prevalent stereotypes among students? Give examples that don't conform to stereotypes, suggest books that foster stereotypes, consider viewpoints of students dominant in the classroom, avoid discussions around diversity and individual differences. How should you challenge these stereotypes? All right, happy again. So I've just got 1 incorrect answer, and the correct answer, of course, is as students, when you are in a classroom, the role that a faculty plays is that we should try our level best to give examples which do not conform to stereotypes, right? In that way, would be challenging the prevalent ones in society. The leaderboard. Great. So Shafkeen still leading and the fastest as well. Up close is Anamika with 2,454 points, right? So she's warming up. I've got 10 players ready. All right. What are the root causes of gender discrimination? Root causes: income level, preconceived societal and individual beliefs, both the aforementioned, none of the aforementioned. Root cause of gender discrimination. This should be simple enough. Wonderful. So it is preconceived societal and individual beliefs that lead to gender discrimination in our society at large. Leaderboard. All right. So once again, we have the results out there. This is the last question. The process of being fair to men and women is termed as gender equity, gender equality, gender sensitivity, gender awareness. This is slightly tricky. Process of being fair to men and women. Right. So like I said, this is tricky. The correct answer given by 4 people, the process of being fair to both men and women is termed as gender equity. We'll have a look at the leaderboard. Great. So we have Shafkeen, who has topped with 4,293 points. Congratulations, Shafkeen, a virtual Congratulations to you, right? Now, moving ahead. There is a brainstorming exercise that I want you to do. And I believe that the PPT is visible. Is the slide visible right now?
No, ma'am, not right now.
Not right now? Okay. Just a second. Visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So this is a brainstorm exercise. Like, I want you to tell me, when you think of the society that we are in, what do men in your society do? And what do the women in your society do? And please note that you're supposed to list the activities, not the professions or traits. So let's do this very quickly. I'm giving you a minute. What do men in our society do, and what do the women in our society do? Okay, let me have the responses. Can I have responses, please?
Yes, Pamni, unmute yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, ma'am, a basic like the activities basically men do is that they are the breadwinners and a women.
Who are the breadwinners?
Ma'am, men, they are considered to be breadwinners basically in Indian society. And like right now, women are also breadwinners, but still men are considered like the first who have to go out and do some job and earn for their family. And women are like the caretakers of the homes, and they need to build a like a family. They need to have that connect with their family. So I think that these are some basic activities which women do. Like they have to connect, they have to have an emotional connect with the family, and they have to take care of their children and husband and their in-laws and all of the family members. And men are the breadwinners for the family.
So you feel that this is still prevalent today, Bhamini? Like women majorly
Ma'am,
taking care of the home?
not majorly, but ma'am, in some places still, like people who are, who are stereotypical right now, also like the people of that era, and who think like, women have to be at homes, like somewhere in rural areas and somewhere the underdeveloping cities and districts. It is still in, like, it's still prevalent.
Okay, thank you for your views. I see a lot of people online, like 55 participants. So what I'm going to be doing right now is start calling names. Arisha Khan, could I hear from you, please? So that's what I do when we used to take classes online during COVID. I used to call out anybody, and I'm following suit over here. So Arisha, if you're there, could I have a response? Like, what are the activities which males do, and what are the activities that females do in our society? And as is obvious, she's there, but she's not there. Anybody else? Could I have another response? Farheen Sayed. Ishita Anand. Komal Singhal. All right, I heard a slight whiff from Muhammad Ashar ul Haq. Can I have the pleasure of hearing your voice, please? And that's how it goes. Shraddhaji, are the students there?
Yes.
All right, this is not very encouraging, considering the amount of time which I've taken to prepare for the session. Okay, if it's a monologue, let it be a monologue in that case. All right. So apparently, based on what Bhamini said, that males are predominantly breadwinners, and this is stereotypical. If we look at gender roles across the globe, if you speak about who weaves, if these are the questions that you ask: who weaves, who inherits property, who cooks, who builds houses, ideally your responses would be that people who weave the gender, if we talk about the gender in terms of binary, that is just males and females, predominantly the response would be that it's females who weave, the males who inherit property, it is the females who cook, and it is the males who build houses, right? However, if you look back, and this is very interesting, in ancient Egypt, it was in fact the men that did the weaving and the women who inherited the property. Apparently, there was a study conducted out of in 224 cultures, and the result was that in 5 of these cultures, it was just the reverse, which means it is the men who did the cooking, whereas 36 cultures, they promoted women building houses, right? So when we think, I mean, it depends a lot on which part of the continent we are, which part of the globe we are, what is the impact that has been going on across the ages over time, and the responses would be generated accordingly. In your case, in my case, since we are in the Asian context, our responses would have been what they have been so far, right? Now, the idea is that if we want to change these stereotypes, how is it that you can change them? And have you ever thought that the roles which have been assigned to you may be holding you back from achieving equality, right? None of us tend to question exactly why we are doing what we are doing. It's like, okay, this has been going on, let's continue doing this on. So we don't actually challenge what's happening in our lives and what's happening around us. But the fact is, if you need to change anything, you need to start challenging the scenario where you are in, whether it's your home or whether it's your workplace. So again, since I mean, research happens to be an upcoming interest which I have, I was going through a paper on the World Bank's gender strategy, and it stated quite correctly, and I quote, because the religious or cultural traditions that define and justify the distinct roles and expected behaviors of males and females are strongly cherished and socially reinforced. These are keywords I wish to highlight: strongly cherished, socially reinforced or enforced. Change in gender systems often is contested. Now, remember, we have established the fact that gender is actually the role which you tend to play in the society, right? It has got nothing to do with whether you're being born a male or a female. That is the biological concept. In some countries, there are groups which seek to impose. May I continue?
Yes, please.
In some countries, there are groups which seek to impose more stringent divisions between males and females than currently exist. Now, I'm not going to name out countries out here, but you in your own minds can figure out, okay, which are those countries where you have got very strict laws as to this is what females are supposed to do and this is what males are supposed to be doing. While feminist movements seek to reduce or eradicate these divisions. Interestingly, the United States during World War II saw a change in gender roles. Why did it see a change? It was because the men were overseas fighting, and it was then that the women were encouraged to take up the factory jobs. So they stepped out of their homes into a new world. However, when the war ended, the women were expected to return to being housewives, but many wished to continue working outside the home. So it's like once you have tasted paradise, who on earth wants to go back, right? So the important thing over here is many a times the historical situation changes in a manner in which we tend to challenge or change the existing stereotypes which we are facing. Now, there are certain points which I want you to reflect on. This is, I mean, being from a literature background, the statement is, if a cow does not get pregnant, you don't blame the royal bull, do you? You get another cow, by David Patnaik, the Pregnant King. Which part or what do you think this statement reflects in terms of our society? There's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. I'm looking forward to answers, right? So what stereotype is this statement endorsing? If a cow does not get pregnant, you don't blame the royal bull, do you? You get another cow. Any idea? Guys, a workshop is supposed to be interactive. In any case, the answer is repercussion of patriarchy, right? How many times would you have seen stories around you? Some of you may be in your homes, where if a couple is unable to conceive a child, the blame game falls entirely on the woman, right? And there's a pressure, a societal pressure on the female to, of course, bring an offspring into the world, regardless of the fact that there might be a chance that, okay, there's something which is not wrong with her, but maybe with a partner. But how many of us tend to think, okay, there would be something wrong with the other person? This is the society we live in, and we need to challenge this. And remember that change does not come overnight, right? So since I am at the Pregnant King, and I did really like this book because it spoke about how the protagonist of this novel, which is of course fiction, how he happens to drink a potion which is actually meant for his wife, and he conceives instead of his wife. Beyond that, the kind of changes that come into him because he has become pregnant. And towards the end, I mean, it's a very strong ending because if he is to remain a king, he has to do away with his maternal instincts. And if he follows his maternal instincts, he cannot be a king. So this speaks about the ideas of gender. It challenges it in a very strong way. Since you are students out there, and I believe some of you would be pursuing literature, do read this book. It will get you thinking. It will get you asking the right kind of questions. Now, gender equity and gender equality, what you see out here is an image. Now, the image is pretty much the same, but what you would be seeing is a difference in the baselines, right? So one of the images out here speaks about equity, whereas the other image speaks about equality, right? Now,
Excuse me,
when we
ma'am.
talk about, yeah.
Ma'am, your PPT is not visible of gender equity and equality. It is on the first slide. Like it is stuck on the first slide.
Okay. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am. The slide about gender, it is visible now. 11.
Yeah, please tell me if it stops changing because I'm changing it at my end. However, I mean, you need to tell me if it stops, right? Because technically
Yes,
we are rather handicapped as of now, I believe, right?
Ma'am, currently we are on slide number 11.
11, all right. So when we talk of gender, we have established the fact that it refers to the economic, social, and cultural attributes. And it has got also a linkage to the opportunities associated with being either male, female, or the other, right? Now, we cannot ignore the other. There's a huge talk nowadays about gender equity, equality, and inclusiveness. When I say inclusiveness, I'm bringing in everybody else, including, of course, the LGBTIA plus. So gender attributes and characteristics, they basically talk about the roles that men play, the roles that women play, and among them, how they vary widely among societies and how they can actually be changed over time, right? We have just spoken about the fact that in USA it was World War II which brought about a change. Why? Because women had to step out of their houses to work in the factories. So there the role changed. In terms of being the breadwinner, it was not the male, it was a woman who had taken over. Now, this also leads us to the conclusion that since these gender attributes are socially constructed, we can change them. Why would we want to change them? Because we want to make it like more just, a beautiful place for everybody, right? The society should be just and, of course, equitable. Now, this image, which I hope is visible, do you think it talks about equity or equality? What you see out here is a gentleman, and he says, for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb the tree, right? So behind we have got a tree. In front we have got, yeah?
Ma'am, again, the slide has not changed. It's on the gender slide. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, it has changed now.
Changed? Is it visible now?
No, ma'am. It was. It is not visible right now.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, it is visible now.
Okay, fine. So for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. And behind this, you have got a tree. Apparently, you have got everybody imaginable in the animal kingdom. You have a monkey, you have a penguin, you have an elephant, you have a goldfish, you have a seal, and you have a dog out there. And everybody is supposed to climb that tree. Do you think this is equitable? Or do you think this is being equal?
No, ma'am, this is not equal.
Okay, why do you say it is not equal?
Ma'am, because like a monkey can climb a tree, to some extent, a dog can also climb, but an elephant cannot, and a fish cannot. Like, it is not at all possible.
Right.
Because
so
fish
who's
is
at fault? Who's at fault out here?
Ma'am, the person who is asking them to climb the tree.
Absolutely. What do you think the person should have considered?
Ma'am, he could have only asked the monkey to climb the tree, or like he could have given some other works to the animals according to whatever they could have done. Like
According
what?
to their ability, right? That's
Yes.
the word that I'm looking for, right? So what you're supposed to do is judge these animals based upon their inherent abilities. I've changed the screen. I hope the next screen is visible. The next slide. Is it?
No, ma'am, no.
Whoa.
Pranjal, please mute yourself.
Visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So difference between gender equity and equality. Now we are talking that being equitable means being fair to women, men, and members of the LGBTQA plus. How is it that you can be fair? Well, ideally, what we should do, and when I say I'm talking about our roles in our individual capacities. What is it that we can possibly do? So to ensure fairness, apparently strategies and measures should be available to compensate for gender's historical and social disadvantages, right? So what happens is, if over time we have been at a social disadvantage, there should be a strategy which should actually fairness can be achieved. And equality basically means that everybody enjoys all that is given by society in terms of opportunities, resources, rewards. One thing I wish to emphasize is that equality does not mean that everybody becomes the same. It's just that all right. So I have out there the Economic Survey 2023 Gender Inclusion in India. You could see the data out there. It's rather shocking, which means when we talk of the Gender Inequality Index, India ranked 122nd out of 190. Just imagine, that is where we rank. The GII, which is the Gender Inequality Index, takes 5 components into account. The first, of course, is the maternal mortality ratio. Second is the adolescent birth rate. Third is the share of seats in parliament by women. Fourth is the proportion of women above 25 with secondary school education. And lastly, we have got the women's labor force participation rate. You would be shocked further to know that in 2021, the GII value of India fell from 0.493 in 2020 to 0.490 in 2021. I was also rather surprised at the fact that in 1991, the GII index was 0.711, right? And apparently, if you talk about the gender gap reports, India ranks 135th out of the 146 countries in gender parity. So this is data which, of course, has been taken from the Hindu Business. I have cited it out there. I have shared the PPT with Shraddha ma'am. So any of you who are interested can go through the entire article at length. These are the facts out here in front of you. An interesting point which I wish to draw your attention to is point number 3 and 4. That is in December 2020, just 44.3% indicators were needed and were available to monitor the SDGs, that is from a gender perspective. In 2021, as per the data, there are just 14.4 seats in the parliament which are held by women, right? Now, again, this data has been taken from the United Nations Women Organization. The source has been cited out there. When we talk about gender equality, we have been talking about what it is. I mean, first and foremost, we have established the fact that equity means being fair to all. How do you be fair to all? By bringing in strategies which actually help raise and bring in a level playing ground for all the groups, including those which have been socially disadvantaged for ages, right? Once you are equitable, this eventually leads to equality. And once you have attained equality, why is it that we are harping so much about being equal? Well, first and foremost, it is linked to sustainable development goals, that is SDGs. It prevents violence. It is absolutely essential for economic prosperity. And of course, once we talk about societies, we all wish to live in societies which are safe and healthy for those we love and the world around us. And apparently, yes, everyone benefits from gender equality. Now, there's an ad which I will be playing, and I hope that the audio is visible. Is it visible? Like, is the sound visible? I mean, audible?
No.
Ma'am, not right now.
Not right now? Okay, just a second.
भैया और मैं खेलने जा रहे हैं नहीं
Audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
मम्मी भैया और मैं खेलने जा रहे हैं
नहीं आज नहीं
क्यों
आज तुम मुझे किचन में हेल्प करोगी
और मम्मी
कोई मम्मी मम्मी नहीं
क्या कर रहे हो
रौनक तुम चले जाओ नीचे मिल जाएगा तुम्हें खेलने के लिए कोई या पापा आप जाओ ना इसके साथ
मैं भी जाऊं
नहीं बोला ना बेटा घर का काम भी सीख ले नहीं तो लोग क्या कहेंगे माँ ने कुछ नहीं सिखाया लड़कियों को ये सब आना चाहिए
Okay, now that's a very powerful message out here. Inequality gets learned. Equality needs teaching, right? And based on this, I mean, what I would expect, of course, is those of you who are present, and I'm hoping that the slide is visible out here. Is it? Its title is activity.
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
All right. So the activity is that you're supposed to identify advertisements which endorse gender inequality or gender inequity. What you just saw was an ad which gets you thinking, and this is a very common scenario in homes, right? Wherein, okay, if it's a boy, let him go out to play. If it's a girl, let her do stuff which is related to home, right? So apparently, what are the advertisements that you can find out, and what steps would you recommend to promote gender equality and equity with reference to the same advertisement? Like over here, if I'm talking about this ad which I had shown you by Tata, the mother asks the girl to do household chores, help her in household chores, and the boy to go out and play. So my own opinion would be that either both of them help in household chores, and once they are through, both of them are let out to play. This is what I would recommend. Based on the same lines, what is it that you would suggest? What is it that
Ma'am, can we talk about the film?
Can we talk about?
Any movie, film?
Absolutely, you can talk about anything that comes to your mind. I'd be happy to hear.
Ma'am, like right now, the movie of Sri Devi, English is coming in my mind. In
Okay.
that, like it was, the theme of that movie was like based on gender inequality. Like
Mhm.
her husband and her husband and her daughter were very much, they were like, you don't know how to speak English, you don't know, like you don't go out to do some job and earn for family, and you need to stay quiet, you need to work. So this is coming right now in my mind, and I feel that like, somewhere still this is happening in our society. Like the mothers who are like, the women who were born in 70s and 80s, they are still somewhere facing this because their parents were like this, that they didn't allow them to, like families who were very basic and who were very, middle class families at that time also, they didn't allow them to pursue their dreams and pursue whatever they wanted to, achieve in life. And they got them married at a very early age. But still, if we look at those women, they have a lot of talent and they have a lot of guts to do something in society. Like the same was shown in that movie, English also, that the that lady, she went to London and she learned English, and then she became popular there by making laddus.
Yeah,
Just just by making laddus. So I think that it is a very, it gave a very good message that a small talent can also, highlight you in society. Like it can get you in limelight. So
true.
yes, that's all from my side, ma'am.
That's an apt example, right? And you linked it very well to the kind of place that we are in. Since you're talking movies, I'll tell you about, since like you are fond of OTT. There is a series which is there on Amazon Prime, Sweet Karam Coffee, right? So in it
Yes,
again,
ma'am.
it's like the gender biases have been beautifully challenged by three women. The first, of course, being the mother-in-law, the second, the daughter-in-law, and then you have the granddaughter. Again, all three women, different stories, stereotypes. They face those stereotypes and how they emerge from it. So that's a beautiful example that you've given, Bhamini. Thank you so much for the example.
Thank you, ma'am.
Is there anybody else who'd like to share another example or an ad which comes to your mind when we're talking about gender stereotypes, gender inequality, and how we can do away with it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
I want
Farhanji.
to. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, last night I was watching a movie that was very wonderful. In perspective of the women, the name of the movie was A Test Case.
Okay.
A Test Case. So when I watched the movie, I realized that this is the true picture of the society, because in the society it's very tough to get the opportunity for the women. So in the
Mhm.
particular movie, the story was, there was a heroine, a girl who wanted to who wanted to achieve his dream, her dream. She wanted to achieve her dream. The dream was, he she wanted to be like a commando
Okay.
training. She was already a captain in army. So her father having a dream that his son want to be a commander for the army. But
Mhm.
just because of the pressure of the family, he committed suicide. So he got the depression because of her brother lost. So finally he decided, she will join the army as a commander training. So a minister recommended her that she should join as a test case. If she succeed to complete this training, then we will proceed other women. so that they will come in that training. That was very hard training, because there was a task. The name of the task was hell. In
Okay.
hell, yeah, in hell, what they have to do, they have to complete a task 36 hours. They have to they won't take anything, like they won't take water, they won't take their food uh, on during the 36 hours. So, it was very tough for the women, because physically, most of the people think about women that physically women is not strong as compared to the men. This is the
Right.
reason this is the reason he wanted to give the message to the society. Still, finally, what happened in the movie, he completed this task. So, the women, she was the pride for the women, that women should do not only the household work, but the physical work, because he is determined. So he determined that she had to complete the task. So finally, this is very good message for the society. I also very much inspired. So this is
Great.
the
Happy
point.
to hear. This is one movie I'll really go ahead and watch myself, right? I love the
Mm,
story and the fact that okay, that how it has challenged the gender
mm.
stereotypes.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
anybody else would like to share some of their point of views with reference to
Thank.
what we have been discussing? Okay, so I have got two responses so far in terms of the gender inequality and how these movies actually do challenge it. Apparently, if we talk about the tools, like I've just said, that first and foremost, you have to identify that, okay, gender inequality exists. And when we're talking about gender, remember that the other is also part of the gender which is prevalent. So, beyond that, identify that there is gender inequality, build strategies to first of all touch the first base, which is equity. It is only when you are equitable that you would be able to reach equality. And of course, the ultimate aim, I would be ending with a quote, is by Maya Angelou, who said, a gender equal society would be one where the word gender does not exist, where everyone can be themselves. So this is a very powerful line stated by her. We should ultimately aim at the fact that okay, the word gender should be omitted. And like I said, in my own capacity, if I think about one of these strategies, it's that since we're all working nowadays, if companies and organizations, some companies are doing this, when they put out applications, they do not ask for the name of the person who is applying. So your biasness, the primary bias in terms of gender, is omitted right there and then. So it's based on the credibility of that resume or that biodata that a person is called in for an interview, right? With this, I'll be coming to the end of the session. Thank you to those who have been listening. Apologies for the glitches, but since I mean we are online and we're dependent on technology, what does one do, right? So thank you so much.
Shafkeen, Vanshika.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. On behalf of our ASL family, we're extremely grateful for gracing us with your presence, ma'am. We enjoyed the interesting brainstorming session and the Menti website activity. And we are sure that your promising words will help us in the long run and will help us in shaping the world in a better place. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
With this, we have reached the culmination of today's session. It is essential that we continue to engage in conversations, educate ourselves and others, and actively work towards dismantling and representation for all individuals. We can build a future where gender is not a determinant of success or limitation. Let us carry forward the knowledge gained from this workshop and become agents of change in our communities, striving towards a world where everyone can thrive and be treated with dignity and respect. Together, we can create a society where gender equality and equity are not just aspirants but a live, lived reality. Okay, so now we are opening the stage for everybody for an interactive discussion. To guarantee we explain everyone's question and see on the off chance that a crowd needs to say something. To get a chance to speak, you can either write in the chat box or raise your hands. The platform is all yours. Okay, so we have Bhamini.
Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, my question to you is that, in recent times, there are many people, especially there are male people, whom I see that they don't understand the definition and the meaning of word feminism and being a feminist, and they connect it to, they connect it with the gender equality and gender inequality to some extent. But like, okay, it is related somewhere to gender equality, feminism, and the being a feminist. But how, like, how would you describe that, how this word feminism is somewhere related to gender equality and inequality?
See, I don't blame the male gender for this extreme reaction in terms of feminism, because there's a term which you might have heard of. It's termed as Nazi feminism. Have you heard of this term?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So ideally, maybe why their thoughts are corroded with this concept is because of that Nazi feminism, which is something which I do not endorse personally myself. So what you have to do, I mean, since guys and girls your age, in the kind of place where you are, a very important factor is that you are able to interchange your thoughts and your ideas. So since you are adults out there, what happens is, first and foremost, you need to consider the kind of background that a person is coming from. Say, as a boy, if he is a person who speaks negatively about feminism, you first need to sit down and ask him, okay, what's your understanding of the term feminism, right? And once you get to hear the person, don't negate what he is saying outrightly, right? He would basically say that feminism is this, you women tend to like take advantages in terms of even maybe sitting down on buses and trains. So one of the things which we do incorrectly is we get offended outrightly. The moment you get offensive, what happens is the other person tries to get more defensive. So again, psychology comes into play out here. Like I said, the background of the person might be something which is very, very conservative. So keeping that in mind, and being the kind of person that you are, the kind of atmosphere that you have grown in, you could maybe exchange a vibe on the lines that, all right, your understanding is partially correct, but here is what it actually is. And then, of course, agree to the fact that, yes, there is misuse of this term. However, which law on earth is there which is not misused, right? So then in that way, what happens is you come across as being unbiased, which is what we are aiming for, which is what we are striving for. And this is the basic purpose of education, right? To have an open platform wherein there is an interchange of ideas. Ideas would not be entertained and would not be accepted if you are getting offensive or defensive, right? So we may have difference in ideologies, but the way that you put it across is what matters. So youth nowadays, and I believe ever since, I mean, we have seen various examples, we may have a difference in opinion, but the manner in which you put it across could maybe open a conversation. And a conversation always leads to something which is positive most of the times, right? So that's my take.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bhamini. So there's another participant I can see raising hand, Nina Agnihotri.
Good afternoon, Nina side. Ma'am, I have a question actually. Ma'am, to dismantle this patriarchal hegemony, uh, the root cause is religion in society. So, does the legal intervention or law should play a role in changing the, or you can say, intervening in the religion in society?
That's a very sensitive area out there, right? Yes, legally it can be challenged, but once again, our ground should be set forth like very, like it's thin ice that you're treading on. Legal, right? First and foremost, I mean, the tools, one of the tools that are talked about in terms of changing the mindset is you identify it, You accept that, yes, there is something wrong with society. Don't go about it very quietly. You should take legal action. But once again, the moment you touch upon the word sentimental words like religion, you're bound to have a lot of backfire. So
That's
once
true.
again, how is it that you present it so that the opposite people or the people in the opposing camps or parties are able to take it across in a manner which you want it, right? So ideally, once again, the same thing that yes, law should aid, law should assist. Like, let's not even touch upon religion, but if we go upon to the normal things, like we're talking about working professionals. So maybe if there's a law tomorrow which is brought in that, okay, this gender inequality can be done away with, say, step A, B, and C. First and foremost, how we do away with the biases. So these are things which the legal action could be taken on those grounds. Nevertheless, if you hit directly on religion, which, mind you, is a very touchy subject and it's there all across the world, you're going to be rubbing people the wrong way. So you
All
need
right, ma'am. I
in your
appreciate
favor,
your
not
viewpoint,
against.
but just little, I beg to differ. Ma'am, these individuals are coming from a religion and society only, not far from there. So gender inequality exists in society, and this society, individuals are a part of this society only. And
Right.
religion has a major role play over there. Everybody is brought into that religion sector only. So my viewpoint is like the law, everybody is equal in the eyes of law, isn't it? We all say
Right.
this, but uh, law isn't equal in terms of all the religion or gender inequality. If we talk the patriarchal hegemony in this misogynistic society, which is still prevalent, and sometimes we feel we are helpless, we can't do that as an individual if we want to put our step forward.
Neera, when you're talking about patriarchal hegemony, let me remind you, it's been ongoing for centuries.
Yes,
What has
ma'am.
been
Yes.
ongoing centuries cannot be changed overnight. There are small steps or baby steps that need to be taken, and everybody is very particular about the religion and very possessive about the religion which they belong to. So, if you point it back to my roots in terms of religion, I'm bound to be out with my cross at you, right? So, there has to be an alternate step, there has to be an alternate path instead of attacking religion because that is something which cannot be done away with, right? In
I'm not
fact,
attacking religion. I just have one request, like the law should intervene or not. That's what. I'm not attacking any religion.
it's a very touchy subject. How can law intervene in something which has been there and been carried on for centuries and ages? It cannot change
Right.
overnight. So this is what we're saying. I mean, if you're not, don't go directly to the religion that a person is coming from. Maybe small steps, like the simple example that I'm giving, applying and making it a rule, maybe all across that. Okay, when you're applying for a job, don't put out your name. Surnames, in fact, for that example. Why do we need surnames? वो भी तो एक bias का reason है. It is not a fair playing ground for everyone out there. Why? Because many a times when you're applying for a particular job, what is looked upon is that your surname. On the basis of that, that is where you go ahead. So based upon the system in which we are in, the primary thing would not be to go to religion. The primary thing would be do away with surnames. Once you do away with surnames, you've got the first name and that is what you judge it with, right? So this is what I'm saying. तो वो धीरे धीरे सोच बदलने की बात है. कोई भी law अगर आप religion से relate करेंगे, कभी नहीं accept होगा. You're going to bring in like hellfire or blows on you.
Right.
Right?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Ma'am.
you. Yeah, Pranjal, I see your hand up.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Afternoon.
Ma'am, this was a very wonderful session being conducted throughout. And I just wanted to add on the point of the law that was discussed just now.
All right.
That
Thank you. What's your point?
Yes, ma'am. A society and its thinking is mostly governed by what goes in the pop culture, like at present, whether it's through media, it's through what material in academics they are being taught. It's not that you can just impose a law. Laws are made and laws are written, but laws cannot be embedded into a person without their will. So I guess the correct representation through the media, especially the movies, the books, which I guess have started being done, but yet need an improvement. Like a very abrupt picture of women empowerment is yet showed. Like the women empowerment is very at a very confusing state in current media if we see, like women.
Pranjal, I agree with you totally. See, the thing is, when we're talking about women empowerment, and I'm talking specifically about OTT platforms, my take is the manner in which women are projected in the name of feminism and women empowerment has to be done away with. So, primarily, in fact, the boards, that is the OTT platforms, whether it is, and specifically Netflix, I'm calling it out right now, right? You have got content out there which is so objectionable that you would actually want to strangle the necks of the people who are projecting images of women like that. And apparently what we see on television or in films, it is a reflection of the society. So on individual levels, we have to ensure that the message that we are sending out is correct. If there is anything which is portraying women as sex objects, which is sadly the case nowadays, right? Or maybe even this horrendous serial which I was seeing recently, Saas Bahu or Flamingo. Oh my God! In the name of women empowerment, the kind of crass that has been delivered. So we have to take responsibility for we are putting out there at our own levels. It is only then that maybe society at large would change and laws as such could change, right? But we have to start from where we are, what our circle is, right? So that's my take.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this wonderful session, which no doubt would help everyone here in their future, and also which would maybe change their perspectives on the gender equality and the feminist topic which you talked about. So thank you so much, ma'am. With this, we come to the end of the session. I would like to thank Professor Dr. Kumkum Ray and our guest speaker, Dr. Kajal Srivastava, along with all the faculty, student coordinators, and a wonderful audience for this successful session. We hope that this workshop reshapes our perspectives. The assignments has been posted. Please complete and submit it latest by 8 p.m. today. The assignments must be completed on time to be considered for certificates. Now we have reached the end of the 5th day of this workshop. Stay tuned as Professor Nimisha Gupta will be speaking on women empowerment on 17th July 2023. We wish you a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.